All right, let's set it down to Brendan Parker and Ryan Dittrick with tonight's Flames TV postgame show, presented by Original 16.
Original 16 gives you the chance to win one of 3 Calgary Flames fan experiences. Details in the new limited edition 15 packs of Canadian Pale Ale. Original 16, official beer sponsor of the Calgary Flames. Must be of legal drinking age. No purchase necessary.
All right, welcome inside Flames Postgame Live, brought to you by Original 16. Brendan Parker alongside Ryan Dittrick. It is a 3-1 final here tonight. The Edmonton Oilers come into Calgary and win for the second time this season head-to-head. Second of 4 meetings between these two teams. And really a first period that was highly one-sided, and the Calgary Flames found a way to get out of it, trailing just 1-0. They fight their way back, but inevitably fall short thanks to the third period here tonight. Maybe just your perspective first, Dietz, on what you saw here tonight.
Well, first and foremost, that's the second straight night we've seen some pretty exceptional goaltending from Dan Vladar, because, as you mentioned, without him in that first period, maybe we're looking at a bit of a different hockey game tonight. But, he did give them the saves. They did survive that first period, down only 1, and then started to turn it in the second period, which I thought was a credit to them, because things could have gotten out of hand. They didn't. They get that early goal from Mackenzie Weager, and from that point on, it was a fairly even hockey game. So it's, in a way, a shame that it turned early in that third period on a bit of a fortuitous one for the Oilers, but that's the way it goes sometimes, and on this night anyway, not enough to claw back and, get another one of those comeback victories.
Yeah, and even just, obviously there's a few different storylines we'll get through throughout the post-game show, but just, hear from Blake Coleman and talk a little bit about feeling like maybe after the second period they'd started to stem that momentum just a little bit, generate a little bit more, give up a little bit less. And then, the balance in the third period. And we'll show it here in just a moment, but just, we build these games up, in terms of the Battle of Alberta, and really the Leafs on Thursday night, 2 games that have kind of lived up to it. Unfortunately, on the home side, it's just fallen a little bit short. Yeah,
living up to it. First off, the crowd. That's what Saturday nights and the Battle of Alberta is all about. So
props to the crowd.
So that's good. And I like the point that you made there. It wasn't just about what the Flames were creating, is what they were giving up and what they were leaving. So it was a matter in that first period. We talked about, the chances against there were too many, and the quality of them is not something you want to see your team do, but it was the frequency of them. It was one and after the next, and just a little bit sloppy through the neutral zone, which I think was a bit of a carryover from what we saw out of the Flames against the Leafs the other night. But as Blake said, they started to stem it. They gave up less. That in turn starts to start a little bit of the offense anyway. And once you're cleaner through the neutral zone, things tend to come a little bit easier for you.
Well, let's go over the goals. There weren't many of them, just 3 all told, and one goes into the empty net. But here's how it started, and it goes back all the way to the first period, and about 5 minutes into this hockey game. And here's an opportunity, actually, really off the rush, one of the many in that first. This one is the one that finds the back of the net.
Yeah, first off, a real nice take from Warren Foegele at the blue line, but then he makes that quick little pass here. A little bit of help from Dennis Gilbert too, but that's a really nice take from Ryan McLeod through the legs. And again, it's one of the, I think we counted 4 breakaways in that first period. Dan Vladar couldn't stop them all.
9 on the season for McLeod, about 5 minutes left in that first period after he'd made so many good saves, and it was 1-0 after 1. To the second period we go. Here's the answer, and this one you can see it's early in the period, and it's Blake Coleman, just the nice patience to find a driving Mackenzie Weager through the middle.
Weager starts it and finishes it, knocks it down in the defensive zone, and this is what you love to see. I thought he was excellent tonight, by the way, engaging in the rush, getting his feet moving. He makes that pass to Coleman, and look at that sauce from Blake Coleman. Lands it flat for Weager. He goes upstairs, and I think at that point the building comes alive, and the team started to come alive too.
Career high 10 goals for Mackenzie Weager, who continues to build on his highly offensive season. 1-1 at that point. Here's the 2-1 goal, though, and follow the bouncing puck. This thing hits, well, 3 people for sure, but we think maybe 4 different parts to find the back of the net. Take a look.
You got the counter ready?
Well, there's one for sure off the stick of Rasmus, and then I think it maybe catches his body
twice at some point there.
And it's Vladar's glove and Weager's body.
That's a frustrating one too, for a lot of reasons. Obviously, you don't want to give up a play like that, but the Flames are in good position. You like the way Rasmus Andersson's defending it. You really do everything right, and you get punished for it.
Yeah, real tough break, and then obviously the empty netter here, and that's the wraparound from Zach Hyman, his 27th of the season, actually 28th. He had 27 coming into tonight, 28th goal of the year. So for Hyman, puts this game on ice, and the Oilers win 3-1. But as mentioned, we don't see it in the goals pack, but maybe just as before we'll hear from Blake Coleman here in just a moment. But before we do that, let's just look at some of the chances in the third. I think, that's after obviously they get that goal, you need some type of response. And, I think as the latter part of the third period wore on, there was probably less of them. But earlier in the third, it seemed like there were some pretty good looks for the Calgary Flames, and we'll take a look at a few of them here.
Yeah, there were a couple of lines that were going for them in this game too, and you see, and so speaking of Mackenzie Weager, just following up on that, again, getting active in the rush here. But this is Matt Coronado getting involved too, and I love to see that because without Martin Pospisil in the lineup, he stepped up. I thought he fit in very nicely with Nazem Kadri and Connor Zary, and the top line too, which is what you would expect to see in a game like this. You need your stars to step up. But, Brendan, I really thought in this situation, it felt like one of those nights where you weren't getting a ton of chances, and it felt like everyone that was missed felt like it was going to come back to bite you, and in this case it did.
Yeah, and full marks to Stuart Skinner, 10th consecutive win in net for the Edmonton Oilers. So he obviously did his part in the victory as well, as we saw in that third period pack. All right, let's go inside the locker room. Let's get some reaction from tonight's 3-1 loss and hear from the guy that set up the lone Flames goal, Blake Coleman.
Moral victories at this point of the season, I think. It wasn't a good first. We did have a good response, evened it up, and then just didn't make life hard enough on their goalie, in my opinion.
Is there anything else you guys can do to generate more offense when you're down a goal, that tying goal?
No, we've done it all year. We just didn't have that next level tonight. I don't have much of an answer for it. It's 2 in a row, and it's a team that we need to start beating. It's just getting old.
Has that happened? And these teams that have these stars, how do you guys begin to start beating them?
Just play our game. We weren't as crisp offensively with the puck. We were giving pucks away. We weren't hard enough in the O-zone, hard enough in one-on-one battles. There's no secret recipe. We just didn't have that swagger.
So it's frustrating losing to Edmonton. What do you guys happen?
It's frustrating losing in general. Yeah, doesn't matter the opponent. It's we keep giving ourselves these great opportunities to make a push and go on these runs, and then we take 2 steps back, and it's getting down to it where we can't have these setbacks.
Do you have to win the 3 before the All-Star game? Like, is it 3 for 3 is basically?
Well, that's the goal. It's one at a time. We need to win the next game. We need to get off this little skid we're on, and so our focus goes to the next game and win that, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you, Blake.
All right, the focus will shift quickly to the next game. Obviously, a couple of days in between here, 6-game homestand. It's been spaced out pretty nicely here for the Calgary Flames, but dropping back-to-back. We'll get to Mackenzie Weager in just a moment. He'll step in behind the microphones. But first, we talked about it off the top, Dan Vladar. Blake said first period not good enough, didn't like it. Puck management may be a problem, but I think what it really created was odd man rushes and chance open opportunities, and Dan Vladar was sensational.
Yeah, it's no exaggeration. We said off the top, this game could have gotten out of hand very quickly. I looked at the stat sheet at one point. I think it was 7-0 high dangers for the Oilers, 9-0 scoring chances. Possession, you're looking at 90% plus for them at that point. And again, to their credit, the Flames did start to fight back and make it a bit of a saw-off. But, we're talking about 4 breakaways, a 2-on-1. Matthias Ekholm had a couple of point-blank looks at this point, too. And, we watched some of these stops. And, this is... We were joking about it. This is honestly a couple of games worth, if not a couple of weeks worth, of highlight reel material from Vladar here. So, staring down guys like Warren Foegele, Connor McDavid using his speed as he's known to do, he's sometimes pretty automatic on a lot of those chances too. So to come up with these types of saves, and this is the key right here, Connor Brown. That might be the finest save we've seen from Vladar in his entire Flames career. So gets the cheater on it, stretches out. Again, we talked about carryovers. That's a carryover from that third period, especially against the Leafs the other night. And it's good to see because, unfortunately the result didn't come for the Flames tonight, but without Jacob Markstrom, still, getting closer, but dealing with that injury of his, they've had a guy step in and play as good as we've seen him in this sweater. Yeah,
no question. And you look at the third period of Thursday night against Toronto and then leading into the first period, and there was probably upwards of 10 bell saves
easy
in those 2 periods alone. And luckily didn't have to make as many as the second and third period went along. And things quieted down in terms of those rush chances. All right, let's go back inside the locker room. Let's hear now from defenseman Mackenzie Weager.
What was the difference to Mackenzie?
There was a lot. Just thought we got out-competed, Awareness was limited. There wasn't much urgency in that first period. Vladar stood on his head. Battle of Alberta, there wasn't much of a battle tonight from us.
How do you explain that tonight?
I thought, it's a big game, Battle of Alberta. I thought we were going to, come out a little harder than that and maybe throw some hits, mix it up a bit. Including myself, this is, I'm speaking for myself and the whole team here, but, I thought there would have been a little bit more pride there from us. It's a big game, They're coming into, our territory, our city. I thought, we would have had a little bit more juice there. There were some good things, of course. I thought we had a bit of a pushback there, but, for the most part, just felt like they were winning the battles, that's kind of how I saw it.
Is that understanding, the excitement that surrounded this game and the rivalry, is it concerning to be lacking that juice tonight?
No, it's, I've never doubted this group. We faced a lot of adversity. We've talked about it before. We got to learn from it. We play them again next month. I expect a better response next month, but right now that should sting a bit. We need a sense of pride. The guys that have been here a long time, like Bax, I'm sure, has a little bit more hatred for those battles, and we got to find that that little fire in the belly there.
You feel for a guy like Vladar who had a pretty good game and then loses on that shot.
Yeah. That's tough. There's bounces. Yeah, I won't speak on our ice, but it's tough. That's one we got to pull for Vladar. He played an outstanding game. He made some huge saves for us, and that kind of sucks. For a team, we couldn't bail him out. That's when we got to bail him out and win that game.
Did the second period feel different for you guys? It seemed like you tidied things up.
Yeah,
push.
yeah. Second period was a good period for us. Thought we put them on their heels a bit. We were forechecking hard, getting pucks back. Generating some offense, some chances, moving the puck quick. In the first period or in the third period, we were kind of chasing it a little bit there, but I just wanted a little bit more from everybody tonight.
Might feel a little bit like a shoots and ladders game, like you get going and then a couple losses.
Yeah, we got to find that momentum, that consistency from, the whole lineup. If maybe one line doesn't have a good shift, the other line jumps out and gets that momentum back. But there's ups and flows through that whole game. It's the NHL. There's momentum swings, all the time. But yeah.
I meant on your season, like you get 3 above and then 2. Like,
it's been for sure.
You've got to get further.
Yeah, absolutely. We've dropped 2. That's tough, especially with this wild card race. There's a lot of teams right now, but we've done a good job moving forward. Now we look at, another team coming in here. We need the 2 points and getting back, in the win column.
I know it's one game at a time, but there's 3 games before the break. Does it feel like you guys need to win all 3 of them?
Absolutely. There's no time for us to, keep losing. We got to get as many wins as we can from here to the end of the season. It's going to be a tight race.
Is it like it seems like the effort level for the script at times you come out flat, you have a great start. Like, what's the reason for that inconsistency in the starts and coming out?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not going to look back on other games or whatnot, but maybe tonight, I would just say maybe we gave them a little too much respect in the first period. That's the only way I could really describe that first period. But the inconsistency here and there. There's good players on other teams. We got to get the momentum back. It's little things like that. But I like I said, I've never doubted this group. It's a great group in here. And we'll bounce back.
Okay, thanks, Weeks. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, good stuff there from Mackenzie Weager on really just kind of more of a summation in terms of what he saw from his group, but specific to the Battle of Alberta.
He's one of the emotional leaders on this hockey team. I think you and I both agree with that, just getting to know him over the last couple of years. And he wears his heart on his sleeve, so not a lot of mincing of words there. And, the thing about Mackenzie that you can really appreciate, too, is, those are some bold comments. But you look at the stat sheet, on a night when your team puts up 27 shots from the blue line, he has 6 of them. And we saw throughout that highlight pack factoring into a lot of those plays that led to some of the Flames' best looks offensively, too. So this is a guy that backs it up. You know, when he talks about big games and needing to bring the fire, he's a guy that constantly does. And, you know, that's the encouraging sign for me, too, because on a night where he says maybe they didn't have that from everybody, he's the type of guy that tries to fix that for the next one and instill some of the belief and the confidence and the intensity that you need and certainly are going to need on Tuesday when they get back on the ice.
Well said. All right, let's go here once again. Another guy who brought it here tonight is the goaltender. First star and 30 saves in a losing cause tonight. Here's Dan Vladar.
Dan, what did you see or what happened on the winning goal?
Just a bad bounce. I mean, it's frustrating for me, like lately every single game I'm just getting bad bounces, and sometimes we get the win, and today just deciding goal, so obviously frustrating for me.
I'm assuming otherwise you felt pretty good in there. You look in command.
Yeah, but it's 2-1 game, so at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's 8-1 or 2-1 or 1-0. It's still a loss for us, and I think we deserve at least 1 point.
Are those unlucky bounces, are they even harder to digest when you feel like you played your ass off?
It's just part of the game, I guess, right? I just gotta trust my process and do everything I can to not letting those in, and just pray for not that.
You good? Okay, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks,
Coach.
Original 16 gives you the chance to win one of 3 Calgary Flames fan experiences. Details in the new limited edition 15 packs of Canadian Pale Ale. Original 16, official beer sponsor of the Calgary Flames. Must be legal drinking age. No purchase necessary.
Flames Postgame Live, it's brought to you by Original 16. Brendan Parker alongside Ryan Dittrick. Just heard from Dan Vladar, who obviously a little disappointed in the way that this one finishes, and specific to the bounce that ends up being the difference in this hockey game. A 1-1 game then becomes a 2-1 game and then becomes a loss. Let's go now and to the coach's podium and hear from the head coach. Here's Ryan Huska now, postgame.
I guess sort of heat level or intensity tonight, how would you measure that part of it?
Not for me. I mean, the first period I thought we did a little too much watching. After the first period, I thought we played hard,
How heartbreaking is it to have a game decided a little bit by a fluky goal?
Yeah, that's the part that stings a little bit. That's a tough one, Vladdy made a lot of great saves tonight, and, sometimes when a team is rolling the way they are, you're going to get bounces like that, and unfortunately that one went against us tonight, but that kind of makes the loss sting a little bit more for sure.
Kind of hurt for Dan in a case like that, don't you? He makes a ton of saves for you, and then that's the one that kind of decides it.
Yeah, and that's the game sometimes though, but you can't fault him at all. I thought he was excellent tonight.
What do you think was the big difference between your group between the first and the second periods?
We started to skate, and like I said, I thought we did a little bit too much watching and seeing how things were going to go in the first period, and then I thought we started to skate and compete harder in the second, third.
When your team is coming back from games that you've done a lot of this season, what are you doing in those games that maybe you haven't the past couple of games?
I don't even know how to answer that question. They were competitive tonight at the end of the game, so I'm not sure.
We're happy with the way you contained Draisaitl and McDavid.
That's the other thing. When you lose and you keep them off the score sheet, it's a tough one. So I thought Michael Backlund's line did an excellent job tonight. Chris Tanev and Noah Hannafin did an excellent job tonight with some of the heavy lifting that they played against McDavid's line for sure.
What do you do when you've got a team that they climb, they get 3 above 500, then drop 2? What do you do to keep spirits up, those kind of things?
You lose the game, you turn the page, you get ready for the next game that we do have coming up on Tuesday. That's what it's about. I mean, you're never going to be straight up, ever. The key is that you have to flatten out the peaks and valleys. So it's important for us to make sure we have a good rest day tomorrow, and then we have a really good practice on Monday, and then we're all prepared and ready to go for the next one.
We noticed Adam Klapka out there threw some hits. It was physical. What did you see from
Clapper?
Yeah.
I thought he played well for his first game. Yeah, he made some plays on the wall too. He looked good for his first game.
What did you think of Coronado?
I thought they struggled a little bit, that line tonight.
From the version of the Oilers you saw back at the outdoor game, is that a team that's giving up far less? Is that something you saw again tonight?
Oh yeah, for sure they are. I mean, I think if you look over the last 10 games, I think they haven't given up more than 2, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, they are. A lot of it is that they have the puck a fair bit. But like I said, this was one where I felt like we could have a bounce here or there. It could have went our way too tonight. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you.
More of the recovery day at 10:30.
All right, there is the head coach of the Calgary Flames, Ryan Huska, and talked a little bit about, it's not something we didn't even mention. There was obviously chances when we showed the Vladar saves, but you do hold Draisaitl and McDavid off the score sheet, and yet you're still staring at a loss. But mentioned a couple of guys who were instrumental in that. There were some really good plays where, they always talk about defending as a five-man unit. Obviously, Michael Backlund's line gets a big chunk of those heavy minutes. But Chris Tanev had a pretty big hand in it in his spot down on the blue line as well.
Oh, as he always does, seemingly. But and to your point about Michael Backlund having a big effect, Chris Tanev falls into the category too. And when you're talking about defending top players like this, especially ones with the speed that a Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl have, it's all about your positioning and your IQ and your awareness of what's happening around you. You've got to stay in front of these guys, and you see how he boxes out a guy like Zach Hyman so well. I mean, this is a 2-on-1 play. That could be a backdoor tap pretty easily. But look, every one of these plays that we're seeing here, he's in front of Connor McDavid. Seal him off from the puck. Make it difficult for them. Have him forced to have to skate through you and make plays, and that's not easy to do. And, make him play along the wall as well in his defensive zone sometimes, or even there, not able to make clean plays. And, you start to disrupt a little bit of the offense that way. I'm not going to say you're going to sit there and frustrate those guys, but making life difficult on them. And hopefully, too, as we started to see later in this game, too, you start playing those guys tougher in your own end. You start to break the puck out a little bit cleaner and generate your own speed through the neutral zone, which is, I think, where this game started to turn a little bit.
And just, we'll obviously wrap things up here on the postgame show, but should mention, it's a big moment. I think I said it's a big moment for the big man. His first NHL game here tonight, Adam Klapka. I think he only plays, roughly just over 6 minutes, but. Not to diminish the fact that this has a lot riding on it because his family gets in. Obviously, his parents are there to watch it, and we saw that emotion prior to the game. But this is a big deal for a guy to make his NHL debut.
I love that. As soon as he comes out of the tunnel, what does he do? He looks up. You got to take that in and soak it all in too. And you said it, a great moment too. His whole family was here. A few tears from Mama Bear there too, which was great to see. And some praise a little bit too from the head coach. 6 minutes just north of that, led the team 4 hits. I mean, that's what you would expect to see out of a guy who's, what was your stat the other night? Tied for the tallest in the NHL at 6'8". So that's not too bad. Imposing your will a little bit.
Well, and it's one of those games where, you look at it and there's really no better game in terms of making your NHL debut in terms of atmosphere and obviously the rivalry. But it's also tough that when you're playing in a 1-1 game or a 2-1 game, now you're trying to find some offense. It might not spread the minutes quite around as much. Either way, he gets in for his first one and likely because of what you said, maybe earned another opportunity here down the road as well.
Yeah, I think definitely. And it'll be interesting too now I wouldn't say the excitement has worn off a little bit, but maybe the energy of that first game is out of the way. Maybe you can get a good night's sleep.
A little bit, maybe.
We talked about how difficult that pregame nap would be today too. So get your rest in and put him back in. I mean, the Flames are going through a little bit of sickness. We saw Dylan Dubé miss the game tonight. He's under the weather a little bit too, so you never know how that'll affect things. And
Pospisil's out for sure a few games, probably until the All-Star break, it looks like at this point.
But you know what I love too? It's continuing this trend of we've seen it all year. Guys on the farm performing well. It was promised by Craig Conroy in the offseason that young guys would get their chance to show what they have. And nice feather in the cap to play well down there, and they do get their chance here. And so far, they're all making the most of it.
And earned it in order to get that chance, which is part of it, certainly. All right, well, let's park it there for tonight. Saturday night spent inside the Scotiabank Saddledome. No place you'd rather be. The atmosphere was sensational all night long, and unfortunately for the home side, the result wasn't what they were looking for, but it was still a fun one for this man right here. Adam Klapka makes his NHL debut, the no-bucket solo lap, and after that, got his first NHL game in 6 minutes or so. Now as for the Calgary Flames, they now look to turn the page, and will do so on Tuesday night when they welcome the St. Louis Blues, the back half of this 6-game homestand, games 3 through 6 starting Tuesday night against the Blues. Thanks for watching Flames Postgame Live, brought to you by Original 16. We'll see you Tuesday night.